Welcome. It's wonderful to see you all. I'm super, super happy that you're all here. There's also more people still arriving and still writing their names in the circle. I'm Anna Caroline and I'm sponsoring this open space together with Rachel. And the part that gets recorded is really just the opening for those of you who are watching the recording afterwards to orient yourself towards this open space that we have this year. So um, we are already, I think, 22 people here in this circle. It's really wonderful to see you all from different areas of this planet. And we are having our annual open space, and it's the fourth one after we had a little bit of a break. And then earlier, there were always annual open spaces in person. This year, it's also really special that we are celebrating 25 years of genuine contact in the world. And yeah, for that reason, yeah, you see here's also a picture gallery with some pictures, and you can also add pictures later. And of course, that's a moment to look back in history, but it's also a moment to look forward and see what do we want to do together in the coming year, and maybe what big future visions do we have. And the theme for our open space this year is to really gather in our learning playground and exploring what matters most for genuine contact's best future. So thank you for joining us in this exploration. And we also have givens each year for our open space. And I will just read them out for you and orient you for a little moment that, of course, there will be a book of proceedings, so basically a documentation that will be shared on all channels. So if you want to, well, as you're writing the documentation, just know that it will be shared. Also, we really invite you to engage in actions, and there are a couple of actions that if they are moved forward, they might need some decision making. And that is if it's really a big impact on the budget of the organization, or if it has an impact on the structure of the operation or the operations of the organization, if it has an impact on the existing resources and assets. You might want to choose.
You're muted now, Anna-Caroline.
Yeah, Anna Carolina, I'm sorry, I had to mute.
Problem. All good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, we have uh, really broad strategic directions, and maybe we come up with ideas that this strategic directions need to be changed. Then there also needs to be a decision about that. The strategic directions that we have are really big, so we want a high quality practice and support that. We want wise and playful marketing. We always pay attention to our organizational development and really want to foster cooperation and collaboration with other networks also. And building membership relationships is part of our strategic themes. So, yeah, the given is if any of that completely changes, then we need a decision about that. But that's about it. And in the last years, we have implemented a structure, or after an open space, people who move something forward, they're invited to join a so-called leadership action team and then have peer-to-peer mentoring and support to move their actions forward. So that will be one of the activities that follows the open space and that really supports all of us in being accountable and moving things forward. And last but not least, there is no massive funds to move things forward. If we need funds, then we together need to figure out how to create these funds together. As I said, I'm not the only sponsor today, but also I have been inviting together with Rachel In fact, I will also be kind of stepping out a little bit of the invitation role latest after Thursday, the session, because next week I'm going to have a baby. And because I'm so proud, I think I'm just going to show you my massive belly. That's it. And now I'm handing over to Rachel. I'm feeling really happy and just wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here. Maybe we can stop the screen share in the Zoom. Thank you everyone for being here. I love now I can see all of you. We are here together now, 23 people in this circle. A couple more might still join us today, and then others will join over the course of the next 2 days of the open space. And it's delightful that you are making the time and bringing your passion and energy for genuine contact into this circle and into the conversations that we are having today. I love this moment in an open space where the facilitators have done their very best, most careful preparations. They've created this beautiful mural board for us. If you have just joined, please do click the link in the Zoom chat to come into this mural board, which will be our meeting space for the next 3 days. And after all of this careful preparation, we're now setting something in motion together, all of us collectively with our collective wisdom. And I love to be prepared to be surprised, but I also am being prepared to be delighted at what is about to happen. So thank you for being here and being a part of all of that. I am excited to see you. As we were greeting everyone, there was like this children's show in North America when I was small, where the host had it was a mirror, but like a handheld mirror, but it didn't actually have a mirror in it. It was hollow. And she would look through it like into the camera and say like, oh, I see Helmut and Nancy and Milena and Michael. And that's exactly how I felt this morning, this playful, childlike delight. And I hope that we can bring that into our learning playground today. Anna Carolina mentioned in the givens that we have this leadership action team. And although we're quite far away from what actions might come out of the open space as we start today, I do want you to know that there are these opportunities to be supported in moving things forward after the open space is done. And the leadership action team is one of those places. Several of us in the circle today are part of that team. And if you move an action forward, you'll be invited to decide if joining is also right for you as a place to have some regular conversation about the things you're working on that are near and dear to your heart, that are also supporting genuine contact in the world. And that also helps us look at this financial piece. And if we discover together that there are actions that might take some finances to make them happen, how we can work towards that. And there's some other work going on in the background to make those options more transparent and available for us too. So I'm looking forward to what we're going to do together today. I have the pleasure of handing this over now to our facilitators. Maria might be working on more of the technical things today, but she and Maarten together are our facilitators, and they volunteered to step forward and do this both for all of us and also for their own learning in our learning playground to keep strengthening their practice with open space technology. And I think particularly getting a handle together on what it's like to facilitate open space online. So it's been wonderful to work with the two of you in the lead up to this, and I'm looking forward to all of what's about to happen now. So it's over to you, Maarten, into the opening for today.
You also need to open your mic.
Yes, here I am. So very welcome in this open space, and I'm going to use bells. It's actually one bell. It's not my official bells, but it's a very wonderful one. I found it in my father's old box, a very classic bell. So I'm going to ring the bell, and then it means that we're welcome in the open space. So I hope it works. It's modest. It works. Shut up. So welcome to this open space, a meeting methodology for most of you, maybe very well known. This is a meeting where we all connect basically with ourselves, and finding those things that we feel are important or that you feel is important for you, to bringing forward the theme that you just heard, this gathering in the playground, and then exploring together what matters most for Genuine Contact's best future. So in the coming 2.5 hours, approximately, you're invited to address anything that is on your heart or on the mind regarding this theme. So this is your time to explore your questions or your interests or your themes. Before we get started, I think it's a good idea to take some breath. Maybe let's do 3. 3 is the magic number. So let's breathe in through the nose and then breathe out through the mouth, and just take a little time, maybe concentrate so we're all here and landing in this group and circle, in this wonderful community. So breathe in. So I'm here. So how will this work? So we're sitting in a kind of an online circle, but we're also here in Zoom. We're switching a little bit. I have 2 screens, so I'm luxurious, so I can move between the 2. But we're sitting in a circle together, and the beauty of this circle or this virtual circle is that with all of us, we have a lot of collective wisdom. There's a lot of wisdom in this room, this virtual room. And of course, you've shown up, so that's wonderful, because you care, and you care about the theme. And that also means that you are just the right people for this work to be done. So please look around. Maybe there's some names that you're familiar with, some people that you've known for a long time, or maybe some new faces. And we're all in this together to make this open space meeting work. And what is, together we have a lot of wisdom, we have a lot of experience, we have wisdom from experience, both from our lives, but also from being in meetings, being in gatherings, organizing meetings, organizing or facilitating complicated workshops, stuff like that. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge here, and it's up to you to do the treasure hunt and to find that knowledge, that's particular knowledge that maybe is the missing piece that, if you put that together, brings in new gold. Or maybe there's something that you want to share and that you want to give back to the people. So that's the beauty of this way of working. There are some givens. I think they are already explained by Anna Carolina and Rachel eloquently. You can look them up. They are in the Miro board. So if there's any moment where you want to check in with those, then that is clear. So to explain a little bit how this works, I would like to bring you to the marketplace. And there we are. This is the place where in a few minutes, you will be invited to post any topic that you feel that is important for you right now. And I'm sharing that now, so you have already a sense that, in this place, you can create and write the topics that are important to you. And while I'm speaking in the next couple of minutes, then you can already start thinking about, is there any topic on my mind, or did I have any notes already brought with me where there's, I really want to talk about this. So you can start thinking about that. And while I'm talking, you can start maybe writing something. You can just pick up a Post-it note and start writing some of these topics. And then at some moment, we will create the whole agenda. So how that works is very simple. You pick up one Post-it note, and then, of course, you probably need to zoom in a little bit. You can write your topic, just short, nice and short, and write your name. So you can add your name to a Post-it. There is a function actually in Miro for the advanced people where you can actually click on the show author, and you can click that, and then it shows actually how to add your name to the post-it. So that makes it even simpler. And then a little later in the process, you can come forward, you can unmute yourself, and then speak out your name and your topic, and then we have a sense of what's coming in the agenda. So talking about the agenda, yes, here's an agenda. So we have a very simple process. We are in the opening now. Soon we will open up 2 time slots where you can create your conversations. One, depending on your time zone, of course. They're both about 50 minutes, a little bit less in the second one. And then when after two of these time slots, we will have a closing circle, and then we end the day or the evening or the morning, considering where you are. So sorry. So I have 2 screens, so that's always a bit, yeah. So when you post your topic, it can be helpful to think about, do I want to go in the first session or in the second session? And so there are these 2 time slots. So consider a little bit which time zone you prefer. We will open all the breakout rooms. So the topic numbers and the breakout rooms are connected, and we will open all the breakout rooms at once. I will get back to that later. But it's important to note that if you go to a certain breakout space, that you also go to that specific breakout space in the Zoom. So you have to switch a bit between Zoom and Miro. It's complicated, but you will get the gist of it at some point, because otherwise you're in a room, but you can't hear anyone speak. So then it's helpful to be in the same room, so you have also the audio of what's going on there. When you are working in the breakout, so we can maybe click on one of the topics and then go to a specific breakout room. Maria?
Yeah.
So when you initiate a topic, yes, here we are. So when you initiate a topic, then you, as a convener or initiator, you have basically 2 jobs. The first one is simply to make sure that actually that topic is being explained and that the discussion gets started or the conversation gets started. You can use a circle to introduce everybody and maybe to introduce your topic or add a little bit more information about it. And of course, the second job, which is a really important job for all of us, is that you make a little report. And you can write that report directly in the Miro. So you can actually type in this document. You can also expand it and go there, but you can just work there. Because it's important for us that you fill out the report, so we can actually share that later on and that everybody can actually read up on what you discussed in your group. It doesn't mean that you have to make all the notes. You can always organize that within your group, where you maybe ask someone else to take notes, but it's just your responsibility to make sure that a report gets produced. It's very simple. Make sure there's a name of the topic. There's a name of the person who convened it. There are names of participants who were there, even if they were only shortly there. Important that they are named. Write some highlights, just give some highlights of your discussion and maybe some next steps, if any. If you have any next steps, then you can write that on. If you zoom in on this document, so it's a direct link to a Google Drive document. So please don't change the name, because then we get confused. But for the rest, you can do whatever you want. You can click on it and you can actually expand the report and then work. The only thing is that it keeps you in Miro, but you have to remember, if you want to go back, then you just click Go to Canvas. We will explain this more, and there is always help around, but that is sometimes a bit confusing. But so you can work in the document, and then if you click Go to Canvas, you go back to the Miro board. Let me hide the cursors. That is a bit easier. So, so that is basically what you need to do. Make sure the conversation gets started, and make sure we have a report afterwards, so we can produce can share that. So maybe go back to the agenda. Maria, can you bring us back to the agenda?
Yes.
Because as you can see in the agenda, there are no breaks. This is an open space, so it's actually a whole break. So I hope you brought some snacks or maybe something to drink, but you can always walk away and get a drink, or so that is a little bit up to you, but there are no formal breaks. There is a bar and a cafe. It might pour you virtual drinks, but still then if you really want to get certified, maybe you need to do that yourself. And this is also a place where you can hang out. So there's a cafe and there's a little garden. You can hang out there with people who are there, or have some conversation. And that is a little bit up to you. So that is basically the agenda. Let's go now to some of the key principles and the law of mobility. So there are 4 principles and the law. And the first principle is really about whoever comes are the right people. So you are the right people. You showed up. You're exactly the right people who should be here for this conversation. That might be that you think like, oh, but John is not here or Frank is not here. Oh, that's a pity. But then remind yourself that actually the people that are here, they showed up, so they are important, and it's important that they are there. Another thing that is also linked to this is that it might happen that you end up, you posted your topic and you end up being alone in your room, which is perfect because maybe you're the best person to actually talk about that topic to yourself and maybe write a report on that. So this is, you have 15 minutes for yourself to write something because you apparently have the knowledge about that topic. So please make sure you write a little report on that, and make sure that we have something we can read after. The second principle is whatever happens is the only thing that could have, which is a really interesting one because this is both a lesson in freedom and a lesson in personal responsibility. So, what happens will happen. But of course, you are here and you are part of creating what can happen. So that means that if there's an agenda being created and you feel like, well, I really hope that some person puts this topic on the list, then actually maybe that's a call to yourself to say, hey, maybe I should post that topic. So that's just a reminder to take your leadership to make sure that actually we benefit also from your treasures. So share your treasures, please. This also applies to the meetings, of course. If you're in a meeting and you feel like, oh, this conversation is not really going in the direction that I would like to go, then, of course, again, take your responsibility and maybe share what you feel is important for that specific topic. Speak up. And it's also a responsibility of the people in your group to make sure there is space for you to speak up and share the words that you feel are important. The third principle, whenever it starts, it's the right time. Of course, we are looking at the clock. That's our responsibility, but we hope you don't. We'll make sure that everything lands right. So please take the time that you need to get started and to get finished. So really make sure you get into the rhythm of the group and the rhythm of the moment. And then there's, of course, always a last one. When it's over, or when it's not over, it's not over. So we're not in school. So we don't need, so it could be you have a wonderful conversation and actually in 10 minutes, everything that is important is being said. Then, well, maybe that's perfect. How wonderful would it be that we don't just finish the hour? Often we see in a lot of meetings where people fill the hour or fill the 2 hours and then actually halfway they discover that they disagree where they first agreed, and then they're just rehashing a conversation that was already finished. So please stop the conversation when you feel we're done. Make sure there's a report, and don't, and then maybe join another conversation that is more important. So we don't need to fill up the time in that sense. Of course, when it's not over, it's not over. There's always maybe the conversation can roll on. It could be that it's such an important that if actually at the last moment of your conversation, something really important turns up. That could mean that the time is really up. That could mean that you should maybe book or schedule a meeting together where you can continue that conversation. And that is just as well very important. When you're in the first time slot, of course, you have a bit more time to expand, of course, because other than in the physical space, we have virtual spaces and they are unlimited. So they can continue a bit. The last ones, yes, at some point we need to close off, but then maybe you should book another meeting. So those are the principles. But then, of course, we have also the law of mobility. And this is also very much related to all these principles, which goes back to personal responsibility and freedom. So this means that if you find yourself in a meeting where you feel like, I can't actually contribute anything, it doesn't give me energy, or I don't have any energy for this particular conversation, then it's your responsibility to take your 2 feet or to take your virtual feet and move to a place where you can actually contribute more or where you can learn more, for a place that gives you energy. So, and then of course, it could happen that someone is in your meeting and then halfway they leave. And then remind yourself that this is not like they're trying to, to message to you that your meeting is not important. They are just honoring their responsibility to go where the energy needs to bring them. These laws, this produces two elements: the bumblebee and the butterfly. So the bumblebees are in nature and they're always buzzing around. And of course, their main function for fruits to bear in nature is, of course, to cross-pollinate. And that is exactly what we mean also with people who are jumping from meeting to meeting. They will bring knowledge from one place to another. And of course, they can cross-pollinate. So whenever you see a bumblebee coming in your space, then invite them to share some of their knowledge to cross-pollinate and to bear fruit in your conversation. Then we have the butterflies, wonderful creatures, very beautiful, sometimes a bit misunderstood, like, what are they doing, flapping around a little bit around the pool. But their main qualities, of course, they are attractors. They bring people to you. And they maybe seemingly are talking about something, or maybe just checking their emails, but maybe they're absorbed in a topic that is really very remote from this. But actually, if you reframe it a little bit, can be really helpful for this conversation. So they can also cross-pollinate. So I hope we have a lot of butterflies and a lot of bumblebees to cross-pollinate the conversations. So let's go a bit further. Yes, so let's go back to the marketplace, because at some point we need to get started. So please remember that any issue or concern by anybody can be raised. And so there are no limitations there. So I would really like to invite you to write a topic as well as your name on a Post-it and stick it to a room number in a session time of your choice. There are no limitations. If we need to create more spaces, we can do that. Please don't, because it's actually a hassle. But yes, you can do that. So please do write your topics and then stick it to one of the topic spaces. Then when you feel you have your topics, then you can unmute yourself and then say your name, please, and then read your or explain your title, maybe with one sentence, not too much, because you have plenty of time later to introduce more about it. And then you can explain that. And so when at some point the agenda is filled, I will explain a little bit how this goes further. Then you can click on these little blue arrows. There are blue arrows in these corners, and that brings you directly to the breakout space. You can also just zoom out and find the space because the numbers are linked. So please don't change the numbers. The numbers are corresponding to the breakout sessions. And that is also when we will open the breakout rooms. There's a similar number. So topic number 1 is also in the breakout session that we will open shortly. And then, of course, once you're in your breakout, you can always go back to the marketplace, either because you're finished or because you want to join another conversation. So these little blue arrows, they help you navigate a little bit, or you can just zoom out. But remember, if you join a group, remember to join also in Zoom, because otherwise you don't hear anything. I think that is about it. I don't have anything else to add. So apart from be prepared to be surprised. And then once we see that there's it's still empty, but I have a lot of trust in you guys that a lot of topics will be added at some point. And then go to your breakout rooms and enjoy your conversations.